but I have no sound. Oh my god. Right. Here we go once again. Next try. Hopefully the game is going to find itself. We have no sound. Ah, there we go. Alright, sound is back on. Finally, we are on track, and once again, a third time, apologies, we are now finally on the way. It is time for CRL race number 3 on CRC 2. We are in tier 2, and this is a very interesting race, so it is a huge shame that unfortunately our new and lovely overlay was not working for this evening, unfortunately, but nevertheless we are jumping straight into the action. We did have a one-shot qualifying where every driver had just one opportunity on track to put their best lap time on as possible. Now finally everyone is slowly settling down, and we are just witnessing our very first overtake as well on stream from none other than Mark Wilson, and this is straight almost in a bigger collision, but Jaco and Mark are really battling here very hard. Jaco is giving the position back as well, but here we are once again. Boom here, how are you doing this evening after such a chaotic start? What happened so far?
I'm doing fine. I have watched the actions this far, so I know what happened. Dragon on speed, he got the pole position in the sprint race as Jaco goes onto the grass to make the pass on Mark Wilson. Does he make it stick? That's the question. Round Lesmo 1. Mark Wilson has got the outside better traction and he has made it stick. But like I said, Dragon on speed, he was on pole. He has retained his lead as well in this sprint race. Almost 2 seconds now, the gap between him and Fandango in P2. And it looks like the whole top 6 is a bit spread out as Jaco goes for a move into Ascari on the Alpine driver. He pushes him slightly off, and that makes an opportunity for Metals, who just backs out of it. And Mark Wilson now has a good run on Jaco, and he makes the position back up again. So it's a lovely battle between these two drivers, with Mark Wilson already running very low on ERS. But this week we have a very interesting format indeed. This qualifying, it isn't over until it's over, as is the case for Quickly as Mark Wilson heads into the pit. Quickly, he has invalidated his run in one-shot quali, so he had to start last on the grid, but he's already up into P8 after 5 laps. So that just shows that qualifying is everything, as he breaks his front wing on the back of Jaco. Oh, that's very unlucky for the Aston Martin driver, who was having a very good race, but that is gonna compromise him a lot on this very tricky track as well, where you can turn your Formula 1 car into an airplane if you're not cautious enough with the curbs, especially around this chicane in turns 4 and 5.
Yeah, definitely very tricky chicanes here, unfortunately. If you just brake a little bit too late, that concedes straight away in some damage by touching the other car's rear, or as well, if you're just making a very small mistake, as we just saw here, it is easily to cut the corners. So today is going to be a lot about time penalties, who can keep the warnings low and who will be able to get back home. But we are just witnessing a overtake as well from Headshock onto AFL, I think on the exit out of Ascari, if there was a side-by-side. Very close battling from the drivers already, and you were talking about it already. The format for today is a very special one, and that is 100% correct. We have a one-shot qualifying at the beginning, which is deciding the grid start for a 25% race, which we are on at the moment. At the moment as well, we have Jaco, McConey, Quickler and AFL in the pits, changing the tires straight away. Let's have a look on what tires they are jumping on. We have here medium and softs as well. From this 25% race, the finish grid is deciding the starting position of the actual 50% race. So very, very important to make up some good places, but also be careful not to get any damage, because the special part of the 25% race is we have no safety car at all.
Indeed, that is a very big factor that comes into play, as is the case with Tomo Tiptop now. He has to let some cars pass to lap him. He's already 37 seconds down on Christophe, so it's going to be a very big ask for him to make that gap up, especially with no safety cars, as Grego crashes out of Lesmo 2 just on the exit there, fully into the wall. That Ferrari car, that is not what the Tifosi wants to see at all at their home track, but he is starting 17th, and that is the only way Tom Tiptop can make him sub places. He is just falling too far back, as we see a pit stop from the teammate of Grego from Wild Dog. He went onto the medium tires going to the end. It is a one-stop strategy in this race always, no matter when you pit, to what tires you pit. So he is gonna try to make it to the end, have a good pace on those medium tires.
Yeah, definitely. He's going a little bit earlier on the medium tires than the cars ahead. We have still a few drivers out on 6 lap old soft tires. Let's see if they are going to react this lap onto Wild Dog. It's going to be a very, very important lap for all the drivers out. Currently 29.8 seconds roughly behind. Wild Dog is behind Dragon on speed. Now coming across the last turn, he's faking a dive into the pit stop and staying out. Very impressive from him so far. Dragon on speed, currently on P1 McLaren driver, looking really strong so far. 1.5 seconds ahead of Fandango.
He really is. He really extends that gap very nice to keep the Williams driver out of his DRS. Probably wanting to make those softs last a long time. He knows he can extract a lot of pace out of it. Out of those tires still at the long way into the race, as well as Nacho. He went to the pit, he comes out of the pit in P5, just ahead of Riordan, who went to the pits alongside him, and Wild Dog. So the undercut who hasn't really worked for Wild Dog, but he now is in the DRS of that Alfa Romeo driver. So he will have a relative easier time overtaking him, as Riordan doesn't have the DRS. Monza it is a very good track for overtaking. That is why it's also a sprint race as well. And now Fandango is closing up the Dragon, but I think we will see both drivers heading into the pit now, going into the medium tires and making the last 5 laps on those yellow wall tires and coming out ahead of everyone else. So I'm expecting a battle for the lead between these two drivers as Dragon heads into the pit indeed, but Fandango chooses to do the overcut while he has run out of ERS. So I don't know if that is the best choice, because you're gonna be very slow in the straights if you don't have DRS. If you go under 10%, you're gonna start derating, you're gonna lose some top speed. If you have absolutely no DRS, as Fandango had just a moment ago, you're gonna be very slow.
Absolutely. If you use a lot of ERS, your engine won't be able to find the same RPMs and the same strength that you would normally have. So a very, very important lap here for Fandango. We are gonna keep an eye on him, as well as Dragon is trying to overtake him through the pit stop. Currently looking quite smooth. AFL is putting a fastest lap as well on the board, would give him the extra bonus bump as he's battling with McConey. I think McConey was just going for an overtake move, and both drivers on 2 lap old tires, but the tire difference is definitely beneficial for AFL at this moment of time. Talking about different tires, different drivers, very, very impressive from our current championship leader until now. It was Leon is leading the championship at this moment of time with 80 points. Very, very strong performance from him. What do you think now at the moment P19. What do we expect from him for the next race? Is there a good chance of him coming back?
Ooh, as you were saying that, Hedgehog went side to side with Quick Killer in Ascari, and that unfortunately didn't pay off for the Mercedes drivers. AFL also crashed in Ascari just a bit later, but I think he did it on his own. So we're seeing Ascari take 2 victims in just a matter of seconds. That shows how deadly Ascari can be. And as you're saying, indeed, Leon, he had an awful start to this race. He qualified P7, which of course isn't bad at all, but then he crashed out on lap 1. I'm not really sure what happened, but he has to start P19 in the race. But that is the beauty of this sprint qualifying format as well. You can crash out, but you're not over yet.
Definitely, it's far from over. It is the starting grid decision this race, which is very, very important, yes, but in the actual race you will have opportunities to come back during the race with safety cars as well. Of course, we never hope or try to promote any safety cars, as we see now Fandango going into the pit as well, so very interesting to see what the difference is going to be between Dragon and Fandango. It's going to be 1 lap older tires than Fandango for Dragon, but he's looking very, very quick and is having a big gap to the car behind it, over 2 seconds gap, a little lock up as well there. You got to be careful with the tires because you want to go longer, but 2 laps to go, and 2 laps to go, very, very strong for Dragon. Riordan and Nacho fighting here as well for P3. We're gonna stay on board for them for a little bit. Both drivers are very, very good drivers. We see a lot of action from both of them have seen a lot of action in the past, and very, very curious to see who's gonna be able to take the P3 here for the sprint race.
Definitely interesting to keep an eye on, especially with points giving out to the top 5 drivers in the sprint race, with the pole position getting 5 points for the championship. It can be a big difference towards the end, especially now with Leon so far back. We can see drivers making up ground to the Red Bull driver, who was very dominant so far in this season, won both races, didn't really look too challenged in one of them. So it's definitely a shame to see him this far down. And talking about drivers who the sprint qualifying hasn't really worked out for, we can take a look at Marconi, down in 11th right now. He started P2, he had a very good one-shot qualifying, but then it all came to crumbles on the opening lap, I believe. He went down all the way down to P19, he has made his way back up to P11, so it is a very strong drive from him, apart from that lap 1. And as Nacho overtakes Riordan at the exit of turn 2, heading into Curva Grande, so he just got the power down a bit better than the Alfa Romeo drivers. Marconi makes his way past Mark Wilson, all his way up to 10th now. In the actual race, it is going to be free tire choice for every driver on the grid, so it doesn't matter if you finish P11, if you finish P5, you can start on mediums, on softs, or on hards. Depends on what you want, and maybe even what the rain is gonna do.
Yeah, definitely very, very interesting to see if we're gonna get any rain at all. Last session from the 2 of us, we were hoping that we're not gonna see any raindrops, but that would make everything very, very interesting indeed. Riordan definitely closing up to Nacho right now. Nacho is defending the inside line, very smart placement on the one side. On the other side, oh, what a catch as well from Nacho. Has to catch a car. It would have been an overtake anyway, and we have another retirement. This must have been further back. Mark Wilson is out of this race as well. Wondering what's going on there.
I think it looks like Ascari has got another victim in this race.
Another victim, unfortunately for him, as we see another battle as well here into turn number 1, turn number 2. Jacko and Quick Killer already on the back of Jacko and putting a lot of pressure on him, trying to go around the outside. Let's see if he is going to be able to make it stick, but it's not looking like it does. He's not trying to dive bomb either. It would have been a very, very dangerous move. Jacko's not getting the best exit, and Quickler is actually going for the inside line here on the better tires, 6 lap old soft tires against 3 lap old medium, which looks very strong, but it's far from over because the car behind does get DRS as well, and Quickler is going very defensive here. Once again, are we going to see a side-to-side battle into Ascari? No, not quite. Quickler very strong and brave on the brake. At the moment, we have the top as well, Dragon, Fandango, and Riordan was able to get the position down as well. Massey is crossing the line, P6. We have Quickler then behind Massey on P7. Jacko just behind him, was not able to re-overtake him. Gautier Lefalong is actually jumping up a few positions up to P8. McConey is finishing in P9, which Jacko is put down to P10. P11, Mima Moody in the Haas just in front of our Mercedes driver Christopher, and Tomo Tiptop is taking some extra time. He's enjoying the time in the McLaren, starting P13 for the next race. McLaren at the front, McLaren at the back. This sprint race has been very interesting, and I can't wait to see the actual race. And what about Leon, P19?
Well, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. One of the losers, I dare to say, from this sprint race, along with Wario Huntsman and McConey mainly, if we look at the difference between qualifying and this sprint race. But of course, he's a championship leader. He is fast compared to everyone else on this grid, so I'm expecting him to do something good as starting at the back as well. It is easier to avoid any damage into turn 1. You can just take your time, no one is behind you. Brake very early. Make sure your wing stays intact. Make sure your side pods, your floor, your rear wing, every single piece of your car stays intact. And make it through there and just see everyone around you getting that wing damage, as we saw 5 pit stops on the opening lap in this race. So I'm expecting something similar in the future race. Just take your time and you'll be actually golden.
Definitely. Very strong performance from the driver here. Let's have a look on the grid. Dragon, strong performance. P1 in one-track qualifying and finished as well on P1, and the McLaren driver ahead of Fandango Williams. Alfa Romeo with Riordan P3. Nacho on P4, just ahead of Wild Dog, who's finishing up the top 5, who will get points for this sprint race. So only top 5 gonna get a few points for their performance. Everyone else is gonna keep the same position as well. But most importantly, this is the starting grid. Massels P17 starting grid as well, up to P6, and Quickler started on P20, just behind on P7. We see some big position changes here this evening in Italy. Italy is always a track which you love to race on. It is a very high speed track. You're gonna stay most of the time on full throttle, and very exciting last couple of races in Italy, in Monza to be precise, with the 11 turns. A very quick track. We had some winners as well. Last season it was tier 1, it was Nathan himself who did take the victory, and in tier 2 Tin Shepop, also one of the winners here on this track, finishing off in tier 3. Last time we did have Forster. He's not racing in tier 3 anymore, but in tier 4 we did have BX37 Pro, aka Ben. We're just changing up the grid, preparing everything for the next race. If you stick with us. Let us know in the comments who you can't wait to race. What do you think is any title contender up there? Do you think the Dragon is going to be able to take another victory here, another very strong performance in the actual 50% race, or who do you think will take a podium position? And hopefully gonna hear from them later on after this race. If we have a look at the driver and the constructor championship, let's start with the driver championship. As we talked about before, Leon is currently leading with 80 points, just in front of Mark Wilson, who is just behind with 32 points difference from P1 to P2. Very, very big gap. Dominant start here from Leon, 2 victories so far. Can he make it 3 strikes in a row? Or is there anyone else being able to take the high points? Jacko P3, 46 points, 2 points just behind Mark Wilson. Wild Dog, 3 points, and Murphy are finishing up the top 5 with 28 points. Then we have AFL P6, Dragon P7, Nacho P8, Mazzles P9, and Quick Killer P20. This is the current standings for the drivers, and if we have a look at the constructors championship from all the other drivers as well combined, we have AlphaTauri is just about leading with 2 tiny small points to Red Bull. AlphaTauri against Red Bull, currently for the lead. Last time Mercedes, who definitely easily won the constructor championship, very, very dominant, is currently in P10, so totally different than last season. P3 Alpine with 54 points difference to P1, just behind Red Bull. Aston Martin P4, and Haas is finishing up the top 5 standings of the teams. Wow, what a season we have so far, and very, very interesting races.
Definitely, and we only had 2 so far. It's shaping up to be a very great season, with maybe even the best to come yet. Of course, we had some fantastic races, especially in France. We saw mixed conditions, some drivers on the slicks, some drivers on the wets. Especially the drive from Jacko, he overtook so many cars in one lap. It was amazing to see, of course, that really added on the entertainment we got from the race itself even. Now in Monza, it will be interesting to see if we're gonna have rain again at the end of the race for the 3rd time in a row. We had it in Australia. There it wasn't quite time to go on the intermediate. We had it in France. There it was time to go for the intermediate tires. Was the winning strategy, as we saw with Leon there. And now for Monza, will we see rain again at the end of the race? Will we see rain at the beginning of the race? Maybe it will stay dry for the whole race. That will be nice as well to see that happening once. But this track is challenging enough on its own in the dry, especially with Ascari, as we saw in the sprint race. These 11 corners, there isn't really one that's really easy to take. Maybe turn 3 Curva Grande, it is full flat to the right, leading up to the chicane with those very nasty curbs. Very hard to go side to side as well through the most of the corners. Yeah, it will be very interesting to see what this feature race is gonna give us.
Very, very intense racing is ahead of us here, this time at 27 laps as well. Monza has been with us for a long, long time as well, since 1950, and we were able to visit many, many great races, great battles, big championship deciding battles, big championship leader battles as well, from Verstappen against Hamilton, for example, very, very controversial collision there into turn 1, 2, and it is so easy to lose the car here just because the curbs have been massively changed from one update. You cannot jump at certain curbs anymore at all. For example, if you are on turn 1, you used to be able to jump turn 1 very easily. Now you need to be very, very careful on the entry, but most importantly is turn 4, the left-hander, into the chicane. The first left turn, you're not able to jump over it and cut some extra tenths of your time anymore, because that would just lift up your car and you would actually think that you are a jet pilot there for a second. But yes, once again, Monza, a very, very tricky track. You're staying on full throttle for a long, long time, and I can't wait to see some great overtaking moves here, maybe into, well, definitely into turn 1, and maybe even into some more crispy turns like turn 7, aka Lesmo 2 or Lesmo 1. These are the very interesting parts, and as we know, our drivers in tier 3, they are thirsty for blood, they are thirsty for overtakes, thirsty for the fuel, for the adrenaline when you overtake someone on a more tricky part than the usual straight. Any particular track or any particular turn that you usually love to overtake, or go into side-by-side battles to take the advantage there, Bumpia?
Oh, I think basically every corner is an opportunity to overtake. Turn 1, of course, with the DRS trade just ahead of it. It's maybe the easiest corner to overtake, not the easiest corner to go side to side to. As you were saying, indeed, you can't jump the curbs anymore. Well, if you jump them now, your car jumps with you as well. So that isn't what you want, of course. But then leading up to turn 4, you have a pretty long straight as well. If you get a good exit out of turn 2, through turn 3, the curve gunner, stay to the right, get in that slipstream, there's an overtaking opportunity into turn 4 as well. And then in that tricky chicane of turn 4, turn 5, if the car ahead of you has a very bad exit, jumps the curb too much on the right hand side, you can overtake into turn 6 as well. The first Lesmo, have a very good battle through Lesmo 1 and 2, and then you're already on the DRS straight again, leading up to Ascari, so there's an overtaking opportunity as well, of course. Then going through Ascari, very tricky section of corners once again, as well, it's basically every corner on this track. And then it's a long straight to Parabolica as well. So I'm counting basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overtaking opportunities on this track.
Definitely more than just the long straight, taking as an opportunity to overtake, and I am very, very excited to jump into the actual race, which we will now. In 10 seconds, we are jumping once again to Italy. Once again, drivers, if you watch the stream, don't forget to load your setup, because your setup will be reset now, every driver. And that is going to be very important, because if you do forget, well, enjoy the 27 laps in Italy on standard setup 3. With probably 7 wings, which you definitely don't want.
I think you're definitely gonna be in a lot of pain on the straights. Seeing cars fly past you, nothing you can do.
You'll definitely feel like you would be in the air, and the cars around you are like fighter jets because of the speed difference on the long straight. But we will see as we are waiting for the last drivers to connect to the session. Here we go. Now we have so many drivers starting further from the back. I think we did have 7 DNFs or 6 DNFs.
I think we had 6.
somewhere around
I think
there. And
only at
these
P15.
drivers are still racing, are still with us. It just means that they have to start at the back of the grid, and the drivers have now time to make up the setups. The top 10 will have to stay on the same tires which they used in the
Small correction there. It's a
yes.
free tire choice for everyone.
Oh, that makes everything even more interesting.
It definitely does.
I already forgot the last race that we had because it was very, very intense for us as well. Already, we had our race from Tier 1 and Tier 2 already a couple of days in the past. If you do want to see Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 4 racing as well, make sure to stay tuned, make sure to hit the subscription button and the little bell on the side as well, making sure not to miss any sort of videos or any sort of lovely evenings like today. If you want to have a little love because nothing is working on our side, feel free to join us as well next week on Monday for Tier 3 and Tier 4, but also Tier 2 and 1 on Thursdays, as we just saw there. Just about a car is losing the traction, and I assume that was a wild dog on the Ferrari. Yes, it was. So not the best start for him. Of course, you don't get any damage, but a little spin on the starting straight is of course not the best way for you to take care of your tires, and he's making his way back up the order.
Yeah, as we see in every tire compound being used here, as the top 4 starts on the soft tires, 2 cars in behind that on the medium tires. So very differing strategies with both Ferraris on hard compound tires with Wild Dog on the mediums, as I was saying. But they were looking to put on a good result here in Monza, of course the home of Ferrari, if you really say it with Tifosi. A lot of support each year here for the red outfits from Marinello.
Absolutely, we're just warming up the tires for a few more turns. It is very, very important to get your tires on the right temperature. At the meantime, everybody can get ready as well for the lights to go off once more. And Dragon are very, very risky as well. They almost lost the car. We have 2 disqualifications. Christopher and Tomo Tip Top are not allowed to continue warming up the tires because they touched. Very, very unfortunately for them, but it is gonna be very important for the other drivers on track to stay on track as well and stay focused. We have 1-2 driver as well on the hards. Every other driver is on softs or on mediums. Wild Dog and Quick Killer decided to stay on mediums, P5 and P6. So let's keep an eye on them. But it is going to be lights off very, very soon.
Definitely will be interesting to see if the soft tires can take a better start.
Absolutely, 4-5 lights on, and it is lights off, and away we go. Not the best start from Fandango. Actually, he's losing 1 position here to Riordan. Let's have a quick look to the other drivers, how they're doing. It's a dive bomb from him as well. So far, it's looking so good at the front. How is it looking further back?
I think pretty clean throughout. Tomatitop just went onto the grass, so he is losing a lot of positions, but his front wing looks intact. Maybe some slight damage, as we see that both Aston Martins going at each other, one overtaking the other. As we see it, it's the same case with both Mercedes, of course, with Christopher on the soft tires. As a yellow flag has happened, and that is the Ferrari of Crego on those hard tires. He has gone round, probably made contact somewhere. Maybe jumped the curb a bit too much, but he is falling back all the way down, and now he has to make his way up. But as the other Ferrari Wild Dog has fallen all the way down to P10, so he has already lost 5 positions, not what the Ferraris have wanted.
Very, very close battling that we see further at the back of the field as well, while the White Dog is just on P10 at the moment, but Mark is pushing very, very hard as well with Mima Moody. Mark currently on the hard tires. Mima Moody is having to go off the track not to lose it. Very, very close battling, and we have another battle once again on the straight, this time Jacko against Mazzles into P1, who can brake later, and it is Jacko who is being a little bit more risky on the brakes. So far not a lot of damage, but we do have a couple of drivers who have to pit as well. We have Murphy, Craigo, Hedgehog and Christopher in P17 and below, as we just witnessed a very, very nice little jump from Jacko, who decided to take turn 4 a little bit different.
Ooh, that is Mima Moody. He is out of the session as is just on board with Rory Hansman as the virtual safety car has come out. Leon and Mima Moody went side to side into turn 4. It's always tricky to go side to side there. Leon made the move stick. Rory Hansman then had a very good run as well on the Haas driver. And then coming out of turn 5, Mima Moody, I think he has just lost his car on traction and just put it in the wall on the left hand side. That is his wheel gone and his race gone as well. Just stationary on the curb. As we see there, yeah, indeed his wheel has come off his car, so he isn't able to continue any further as the virtual safety car as well now disappears. We aren't really seeing any moves being made on the restart.
I don't think that every driver was able to do a proper and clean restart. McQueen is getting very, very close to Quick Killer, using a lot of ERS as well, but Quick Killer defending very strong here as well. At the front we don't really see many changes. It's just Dragon's performance once again very, very strong and outstanding here. 1.4 seconds difference to P2, who also has the fight against Nacho and Riordan. So interesting to see Dragon once again very, very quick, but the question is Nacho and Riordan, how are they going to be able to cope with this situation? And McConey is making a move on to Quick Killer to up to P6, currently improved 2 positions so far. The driver in a Haas looking strong so far and very, very solid.
Very solid indeed, as I think there was one driver who had a bit of problems on the virtual safety car restart, and his name was Fandango. I think he had a little bit of a half spin out of turn 1. He dropped from P2 down to P5. Now he's behind that train of cars as Quick Killer looks to make the move on McConey with the DRS, but McConey brakes very late on the soft tires. Quick Killer has to jump the curb. His car bounces up a bit as Mark Wilson rear overtakes Leon. The Red Bull driver having a very good start so far in this race. Now lost the position to Mark Wilson, who he overtook just before that. But as I was saying, he has a very good exit out of turn 2. And this is what I said, if you get the traction right there, you can go around the outside of Curva Grande, maybe even get the inside, but Mark Wilson was having none of it. Forced the Red Bull driver just a bit too wide, he couldn't make the move stick, and now he has to follow the Englishman through both Lesmos and probably hoping to make the move into Ascari, and if not on the start-finish thread of the next lap, of course. But yeah, Dragon on speed once again, really pulling the gap to his competitors down in P2, P3, P4, as Nacho had a very bad exit out of the Ascaris, which allowed Gauthier Levelon to overtake him. Leon as well, talking about overtaking, he has made his move on Mark Wilson, as Fandango as well, going down the inside of Parabolica, making the move on Nacho, but now Nacho is very close to the back of the Williams car, who is derating, so Nacho is gonna go for a move here. And he has very good speed on Gauthier Levelon. Is he gonna make a double move? No, he is gonna lift Is Fandango gonna make a move on Gautier Levelon? Yes, he is. He is braking very late, but he has to take the curb there. So that move is done and dusted. As a bit further back, there aren't really many moves as Leon and Mark Wilson though continue their battle through the first chicane. Leon on those medium tires got a very good exit though. As Warrior Huntsman, medium tires as well, just showing the hard tires really don't work here. Fandango making another move to Gautier Levelon, so he's really making his way through the train after having a bit of a disaster on the safety car restart. Now coming out of the second last one, he has a bit of wheel spin, so that probably allows Gautier Levelon to have another look at him, as does the low ERS on the William car allow. And indeed the Aston Martin already fully ahead going into Sky, but Fandango trying to make an audacious move around the outside of the first turn. Doesn't really work. He had to go off track. He had to concede the position. Maybe here with the slipstream he don't want to make a move here. You're maybe gonna lose out on DRS, as the white stripe there is the DRS detection point. Fandango really throws his car in. And all this battling has allowed the train from behind to catch up as well, as Nacho had a tank slapper through Parabolica. And now it is very tight, 3 wide at the moment. Is it gonna stay like this into turn 1?
Oh my god, what a battle so far from the 4 people, but no! There's a late braking move from Gautier Levelon and definitely some sideboard damage. He's gonna fall down the order within the next few turns. Definitely struggling so far, but what a race! We are seeing so many overtaking moves and so much ERS usage. Once again, Fandango is on 0% ERS and is losing many positions here, unfortunately. With the damage that he has to his car, the Aston Martin driver will need to pit. He's losing so many positions here, but what a beautiful battle that we had between the 4 drivers. Impressive. And another position as well. There you see, one little mistake can cost you a lot, and maybe another small mistake as well that happened there for Mazzles, but for Nacho, as Mazzles took his position. They are both fighting for the corner and for the last turn. Fandango is now closing up to Marconi as well, putting a bit of pressure onto him. Can recharge the ERS, but decides not to, as he thinks that now is the opportunity to push. He's going for another move in the inside into turn 1, but Marconi is just going to brake a little bit later. Gives a lot of space. Beautiful to see the space and the fairness of the driver that we see today on the grid. Marconi a little bit more ERS though, as we see another more move as well from Nacho onto Mazzles, who has a little bit less ERS, trying to go side by side, but beautiful braking here from Nacho, taking the position up to P5. And is he going to be able to maybe get back and get a little bit closer to the car ahead? We will see within the next couple of laps, but a lot of battling, and there are 5 more as we see another overtake from Mazzles into the next turn, into Ascari entry. Mazzles taking the position here, very solid, but once again Nacho is just staying behind him, which gives him the DRS for the straight, and Mazzles will be overtaken on the straight once again. So we're seeing the same play over and over again, which gives Quickiller a great opportunity to stick with them, and he has a lot more ERS as well, and is not deciding to use it since he knows that the cars in front are flashing and they are battling a lot.
Indeed, they are. I think maybe even if Quickiller had decided to use his ERS, got a good exit out of Parabolica, he could have maybe overtook Mazzles as well. So Mazzles had to lose 2 positions in one go, but he just didn't, as Tom Tipton and Mark Wilson going side to side. Tom Tipton just going onto the grass at Curva Grande entry, both on very low amounts of ERS. I don't think they're gonna go side to side here. No, they aren't. So that battle concluded for the moment. Mark Wilson is seeing a lot of action on the hard tires. He is struggling a bit, but if he can make those last to the end, maybe with a late safety car, it can always come out. It's looking very good for him. Still, as Scary, it hasn't claimed a victim yet so far this race, as McConey overtakes Fandango. And Fandango actually has left the session, so I'm quickly gonna re-invite him.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to invite him, and hopefully he's gonna be able to jump back into our lobby, because he's in a really strong position. He's losing the DRS at this moment of time, but on the other side it helps him as well to save up a little bit of ERS as well, because the AI is usually not that active on the ERS button. Very unfortunate for him, losing a lot of time, and Mazzles and Nacho are still behind there and going to fight for any inch of the track. We have a yellow flag. I assume that is in turn 1, 2. AFL is a little bit slow, wondering what went wrong there between the three drivers, 3 cars. Tomo Tip Top, Mark Wilson and AFL looked very close to each other there in turn 1 and 2. Mazzles and Fandango are playing the same game, doing switcheroonies around before any to make up some positions, but not a big change as this moment of time.
Fandango really loses out because of his connection. He had problems as well last week. It's really unfortunate for the Williams driver. He has very good pace. It's just his connection is acting up. Sometimes he loses another 2 positions to AlphaTauri driver of Jacko and Everell Wild Dog. Both Italian teams, of course, looking to do their home crowd. It hasn't really looked like that so far as Wild Dog. He has lost 3 positions. Let's have a look at the position change now. We are talking about it anyway, as Mazzles and McConey both have very good starts of the race. As you see at Alfa Romeo stationary in turn 1, that's Warrior Huntsman. He has gone onto the gravel, so I wonder if he just had a spin there, got the inside curb a bit too much, and completely lost control of his car. Yeah, the championship leader Leon started P19 as Fandango has rejoined. That's always good to see. He has started P19 all his way up to P10 now, but he is losing a bit of connection to the cars ahead, so he really has to push if he wants to get some more points with Fandango now reconnecting as well. But he is gonna overtake the ghost of the Williams car now. He's got the opportunity, why not? And that's his 10th position gain so far in this race.
Definitely, he is pushing a lot so far. 10 positions increased, started at the very end. Leon is looking strong. He's really pushing for every single position on track. We have McConey jumping into the pit as well from 10 lap old softs. Is making the early pit stop compared to the other drivers out on track. We have Jacko, Nacho, Mazzles, Riordan and Dragon still out on track, so McConey is hoping to overcut a few drivers with a better strategy, but the question is how important are fresh tires towards the end of the race, and how well can you look after them, as Wild Dog is doing also a little bunny hop over the curb. We can see Nacho as well getting very close, and Leon is probably gonna be in a strong position if he can stay out. He's losing a little bit of time considering that he is on the same tires to the driver ahead of him in the Ferrari. Wild Dog on P7, who also gets a time penalty at the moment of time I mentioned his name. So Commentator Curse is still alive, which is always great to see, makes everything more interesting as well. But Leon is definitely on a big charge here and has to make up some more positions. Dragon is staying out. We have Riordan, Mazzles, Nacho and Jacko. And we're gonna see Fandango as well. No, he's staying out, but we have some drivers as well reacting to the earlier pit from McConey.
Definitely are. It will be interesting to see where they come out. McConey though, he had a bit of, well, I think he spun in the opening lap of the sprint race, but from that point onwards he has showed very good pace. Starting P8 in this race, or finishing P8 in a sprint race, from being last on lap 1. It's a great achievement, of course. And now as well with the earlier pit stop he has come ahead of the likes of Mazzels, Nacho and Jacko, and pretty far ahead as well. He has got a 3-second gap to those drivers just mentioned, and now he is gaining on the likes of Warrior Huntsman and AFL just ahead of him with Riordan. I think the only one really in between him and Dragon on speed as things stand. But talking about Riordan, he has got a penalty to his name, 5 seconds. I think that was speeding in the pit lane. I didn't really pay attention to that, but that is going to be very tough to get removed. I don't think it is possible even, as Fandango has another disconnect. Just gonna see if he can rejoin now for once.
Let's see if he's gonna be able to rejoin. We have Dragon as well now, finally changing the tires onto medium tires, and very strong performance from him so far. He's coming out in front of his teammate, so really good positioning for McLaren as long as they can do the braking properly, and they can. Very good so far. Tomo Tiptop is keeping the other drivers of Mark Wilson and Riordan behind them, because Mark Wilson is on old hearts, has not pitted just yet, made up many positions, staying out so far. Tomo Tiptop is trying to give Dragon more time as well, but I did see a little, I think that was a Red Bull car off track, as we have another battle as well here from Warriors Huntsman against AFL, but AFL is not able to get the position done, and Warrior Huntsman is staying, but not for long. Is the AFL gonna go back? And yes, he is late braking. AFL is staying, not staying on track, but can he catch it? Both drivers, AFL and Warrior Huntsman, had to catch their cars, and they did a very good job. Just about on the exit of Ascari, lost the car and the stability, but now a good opportunity to overtake, stay out with DRS, and they both do. We have Tomo Tiptop, Leon and McConey once again went into the pit. That is very unfortunate for McConey, because that means that he had got some damage, which is very unfortunate for the Haas driver, but he's going to be on softs right now for the last couple of laps.
He is 13 laps on soft tires. That is doable, but as I was saying, he was doing a very good job so far in this race, but now he has got front wing damage, so the commentator curse once again in this race, alive and well. Always good to see. But indeed, Leon, he had a bit of a problem on the last lap in turn 1 and 2. I think he went indeed off track, and then going into the second chicane, Warrior Huntsman tried to make a move on the Red driver, but the Alfa Romeo just shot straight on, went off track, as Mazzels has overtaken AFL into Ascari at the moment, and AFL as well picking up a penalty for cutting the first corner. What you wanna see Leon again in a little bit of a battle. He just has overtaken Fandango, who is still a ghost. Unfortunately, can't really rejoin, I don't think. And past Murphy as well, who is on old soft tires. But Leon, he isn't really having the race we are used from him. Used to be seeing from him. Usually it is very well, without any problems, just plain sailing in first place. But now he really has to make up ground in the midfield, but he isn't really doing so. Having a little bit of spin as well, that doesn't really help. Not the race he wants to see from himself so far.
Definitely very tricky race for Leon, who had to start in P20. It is so tricky to get through the field at the early stage where everyone is out of DRS, where you still don't have any DRS, making up some positions. I do see that he did make up some good time as well, as we have Mazzles pushing on our Huntsman once again in the same turn as well before Ascari entry. Nice move as well for Mazzles, which will give Warrior Huntsman the DRS once again on the straight. But on the other side, Leon does have to push, as you mentioned at the moment. Very strong performance for him the last two races, but really needs to show everyone that he is a good, well defending championship title at the moment. But we have Wild Dog as well coming out of the pits now on soft tires, currently in P9. Let's see what the difference is to the leader. He has 9 laps time. It's 27 seconds, 28 seconds to Quick Killer, maybe 11. That is 17-18 seconds behind Dragon at the moment on soft, and everybody else is on medium tires. So the fresh softs at the end of the race is something that I absolutely love to do as well. I did it last season and I did it this season as well. Once again, they feel amazing compared to the old mediums, and especially the old hards. The speed that you have and the traction, especially through the turns, are absolutely insane, and you can make up so much time, as we can see as well. Wild Dog is making a lot of time up to Jacko. He's gonna be able to get the DRS as well, not just behind him. And Rio Quick Killer now as well into the pit, is changing up to some soft as well. Let's see where he will be able to come out. He's charging down, I think, just ahead or behind AFL. That is a very similar looking scene there, with an Red Bull approaching the first turn as soon as the car was exiting, but very nice and smooth. Quick Killer is in front and already gone out of AFL's vision.
Indeed, it was. Wild Dog is in a little bit of a battle with Jacko, going side to side, even into turn 4, but that is the curb on the inside there. Jacko just couldn't really go anywhere. He had to jump the curb there, and unfortunately has spun into the wall as well, so that is front wing damage for him. I dare to say the Ferrari just didn't really leave him just enough space to really make that corner. With the curb updates, of course, but now there are only 2 drivers staying out from the beginning. That is Mark Wilson and AFL. Mark Wilson, of course, on hard tires. I'm expecting him to do a couple more laps on those tires as well. AFL, I think, is heading into the pits as soon as he can. But the problem for a lot of drivers is that they have 5-second time penalties for speeding in the pit lane. I think Riordan, Wild Dog, McConey, Warrior Huntsman and Crego all sped in the pit lane. So that has cost them 5 seconds on the end of their time. But indeed, Wild Dog on fresh soft tires, I think he is gonna gain some time on the cars ahead of him. But looking at his ERS, it's almost non-existent. So that really isn't gonna help. And pushing now as well out of turn 2, just draining his whole battery. He isn't gonna be any sort of fast on the straight. I think he is gonna have a really hard time catching up to the cars in front. And there you see Hedgehog with another 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Even with 1 km/h too fast, you can get that penalty. It's really harsh, but rules are the rules, as Crego makes a move past Murphy for what is this P17, so no points to be given out at that low of positions. But he's of course still wanna finish as high up as you can. As the only real battle on track, I'd say, is the battle for P8, with now Rory Huntsman and Leon almost going side to side into Ascari. But Rory Huntsman, thinking better of it, just broke a bit earlier, a bit of a slide out, coming out of the exit, as well as Quick Killer now wanting to make the move on Nacho with DRS. I think Mark Wilson is into the pit. Indeed he is, on those hard tires. Made him last 19 laps. Quick Killer with late braking got past Nacho, but Nacho has a very good exit. Maybe if he tucks in that slipstream, uses ERS, but he doesn't. So he is gonna sit behind him. Rory Huntsman got overtaken by Leon, as Leon now goes down the inside of Gauthier Levelon, making a bit of contact, as you always are, as Rory Huntsman positions his car beautifully, makes the move on Leon. Still going side to side through Curve Grande. Leon got that toe from Gauthier Levelon. It is gonna be side to side into turn 4. Who is gonna come out on top? It's Rory Huntsman with the later braking with the better line, but he is heading on the curb. But Gauthier Levelon as well. Hedgehog has retired. Rory Huntsman has got Gauthier Levelon on the exit as a safety car. Has come out, I think, just before Leon has got past Gauthier Levelon. There was a bit of contact there, but immense racing there with all 3 cars, as now we can take a breather with the safety car.
Oh, a breather, especially right now. There's so much happening during this race. We have a safety car. That means that every driver has the opportunity to now change up the tires, as we do see as well from the top. Riordan, Dragon, Mazzles, Nacho, Wild Dog are all jumping into the pits to change up to some fresh, soft tires. This is gonna be very, very spicy. We might see just a 5-lap race here towards the end of this Grand Prix in not the championship just yet. It is just the Grand Prix in Italy, but every driver in the front is decided to jump into the pit except of Quick Killer. He is on 2-lap old softs, as well as Makoni 5-lap old softs. Makoni in P6. He's deciding to stay out for another 7 laps. What do you think? Is that the right decision? Can you do so many laps on a soft?
I think you definitely can. I was a bit off topic. I will answer the question very soon. But Leon made a very cheeky overtake coming into the pits on Gauthier Levelon. That was why I made a bit of a laughing noise, but it was a very cheeky overtake, and he now has got rid of his penalty. That is why he dropped down the order a bit, as some other drivers. But the safety car just came out at the exact wrong moment for Mark Wilson. He went into the pit on lap 19, came out of the pit, did some corners, and then the safety car came out. It will be very frustrating for him to see, but even though the safety car came out at the exact wrong moment for him, he still has made some good positions up to P7 now. And coming back to your question, tires from Makoni already 5 laps old. I think they can make it, definitely, but the question is how much slower he will be compared to everyone around him, as he heads into the pit now actually. So we won't have to answer that question anymore, as only Fandango really on old tires. Does he head into the pit? No, he isn't. He is just staying out on old medium tires for the remaining probably 4 or 5 laps that we're gonna have some racing. So if he gets it right, he will stay P9 with the penalties in front of him, P7. But old medium tires compared to brand new soft tires, I don't think he is gonna make the tick.
And he lost so many positions there, unfortunately. Makoni all the way down to P16, with all the other drivers ahead as well. Majority, almost every driver on soft tires. This is going to be very, very spicy towards the end. We do have Fandango, who still is on medium tires, currently in P7. If we have a quick look onto the position changes, a small update from compared to previous times, we have Leon as one of the drivers that we are keeping an eye out for. Started P20, now up to P14, 5 positions, and Craigo won 4 positions, and Warrior Huntsman, them 3 down in 12, 13 and 14, but we have Mark Wilson, AFL, both increased their positions by 8 slots, and I do think I just saw a touch as well between, yes I did, between Warrior Huntsman and Craigo. The Ferrari was driving into the rear end there. Unfortunate, a little time penalty there for the 2 drivers, but they are able to get it back after the race. So here we go, once again a safety car restart, and we have a car all the way at the front.
I think indeed there's a bit of desync as Fandango heads to the pit. I think he's just in a different universe than all the other drivers. He's gonna fall all the way down. I don't really know what's happening there. Got hit at front and Gregor into the pits. As Quickilla had a very good safety car restart. Not really any danger as Nacho makes a move down the inside of Mazzles. He just got on the curb on the exit of turn 2. Couldn't make the move stick. Wilson as well, just looking behind, maybe seeing if he can make something out of it. But now a 3-way battle between Wild Dog, Jacko and AFL going into turn 4. Is it gonna be 3 wide there? No, just about it isn't. Wild Dog stays ahead, Jacko and AFL though side to side. Jacko bounces over the curb as AFL now kisses his rear with his front wing, and that allows Warrior Huntsman to have a look down the inside of the Red Bull into the first Lesmo, but he just wasn't gonna make the move. Riordan though very close to Dragon on speed, and Dragon, interestingly, falling back a bit from Quick Killer. That isn't what we would have expected now, was it?
Not really. Oh, what a move here from Jacko against AFL. AFL really had to catch the car. What a reaction that was. Would have been very surprised. But to come back to your comment there, I absolutely agree. It is very uncharacteristic here for Dragon, who's losing another position as well. Or maybe is he to Mazzles now behind in P4? The question is, does he have some damage? Because he's losing another position as well to, is it Nacho who went around the outside? I do think it is. Yes, he lost 2 positions on the straight.
It's very bizarre. I don't think he uses any ERS, but Dragon on speed, he looked like he was gonna win this race. He led every lap, he led every single lap of the sprint race, he led every single lap of the feature race, but now he's just falling back, and Riordan, instead of Dragon on speed, is looking very good for the race win now. Staying within the 1 second from Quick Killer on the fresher tires as well. Once DRS gets enabled, he has got an easy pass on the Aston Martin as Warrior Huntsman, I think, is round. Indeed he is. As is Christopher. So I think both of them made contact coming into the first Lesmo. So both of them really wanted to get going again and seeing what they can do.
Very unfortunate for Dragon here. He's losing another another position there as I'm losing my voice. We can't follow up on all the action that is going on. White Dog really late on the brakes, is making the turn. Very impressive there from White Dog. I do think that it is just the fact of now having cars around. It is, he was by himself being able to push away, as we have another battle as well from his team. It is a 3-wide battle from 2 Red Bull against the McLaren as well here onto turn number 1. AFL and X Leon both behind. Tomo Tiptop is making a move here. But to come back to Dragon, I do think that it is a totally different to stay ahead by yourself and find your own rhythm without having cars around you, other than having to fight and defend or battle for a position, battle for a better time. So maybe he's getting a little bit under pressure. Unfortunately for him, as we see, Warrior Huntsman is has just retired from the session. I'm not too sure what's going on. I do think that he retired in the pit, as we can see in turn sector 1. But Tomotim is going for another move as well here. who is putting himself now in front of Jacko, as well as Leon is now up to P9. He really listened to what we were talking about, and he's pushing as hard as he can.
He definitely is on board with Dragon in through the Lesmos, through Ascari, through Parabolica. It is clear he has got some damage. So that is the case. I'm not sure where he picked it up. But looking at the front now, Riordan is making the move on Quickiller, on fresher soft tires with the aid of DRS. Making the move for the lead. The net lead as well got a very good exit out of turn 2 as well, so Quickiller can't have a look down the inside on the next chicane. Riordan is really wanting to make a bit of a gap towards the Aston Martin, as it isn't over as with 2 DRS zones just yet. Alfa Romeo is really wanting to create a gap now. If he wants to win this race, he has to create such a gap that both cars fall out of the DRS, as Massels is right on the back of Quickiller as well. So all 3 cars in contention for the win.
Definitely, the win is still open here for Riordan, Quickiller and Massels. All 3 drivers are fighting at the front, which we are going to keep an eye on as well. Wild Dog is collecting another penalty, but this race is gonna go down a little bit to ERS management and Riordan, who is at the front. I just saw the light flashing, and there it is once again. Let's have a look at how much ERS he has. You can just hear the difference of the pace. You can see the difference as well from ERS without even having it using. Very, very strong position for Quickiller in P2. We have Fandango as well. Crashed out on the exit of Ascari. Very, very tricky turn. If you're just a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, and you are out of the race. But we're going to stay on board with the 3 top drivers here. Mazzles is getting close. What is going on?
I was just seeing now, Riordan has gapped Quickiller 1.1 seconds, so the Aston Martin doesn't have DRS anymore. He has got a bit more ERS though, but if Riordan really can make those tires work, he only has to go 1 more lap. If he gets a good Ascari, and Mazzles now with a 3-second time penalty, so he is out of contention for this race win. Quickiller with a bad exit out of Ascari, but he is using his ERS to stay within the DRS distance from the Alfa Romeo driver. He is gonna get that DRS one last time to get an opportunity to overtake. As we're saying, 5 overtaking opportunities, potentially even 4, maybe 3 if you're being really realistic in a usual race scenario, to overtake here for the race win. But at the moment as well, looking back, Nacho kept it clean, is on course for a podium as well.
Definitely, everything is still open here for the top 3 drivers. We see Mazzles having a really, really good exit, and we can see Quickiller's light flashing as well. Unfortunately, it's not going to be for position for Mazzles, because he has a 3 seconds time penalty, but he's going to make Quickiller's life even more difficult. But he was able to defend his position, and I do think if there's a lot of happening here on the last couple of sections, the last couple of turns, this is looking quite promising for Riordan out ahead, who was being low on ERS.
Ooh, as you see, Leon in almost hitting the wall. He was on the back of Dragon Speed in last mode 2, but he just underestimated his speed. Of course, with that front wing damage on the McLaren, Leon tagged the back of him and spun around, and now on his acceleration he is going into the wall, so that is a DNF from Leon. But now the final turns are behind us.
Absolutely, Riordan is taking the victory here with Quickiller just behind. Quickiller in P2 ahead of Nacho and Mazzles. P4, Mark Wilson, P5 finished the race ahead of Wild Dog, the Ferrari in the home track from the old constructor. Dragon on Speed surprisingly lost a lot of time at the end at the race when it mattered, but with a little bit of damage it is very, very tricky to stay on track with the same times. Murphy P8 just just splits the two McLarens of Dragon and Tomo Tiptop, who finished P9. Very, very strong performance for him. Jacko P10, AFL P11, Christopher P12, Gautier Leflong, Craigo and McConey are finishing off the grid. Wow, let's take a breather after this race, Bump here. There was a lot of action happened, there were a lot of overtakes, and we did have a very, very unfortunate struggle at the beginning with the stream, which I would like to apologize for once again. But thank you so much, everyone, for still staying in chat and in the stream, enjoying it, and absolutely enjoying is the right word for this race. Riordan, the victor in Italy, in Monza. Strong performance. Who do you think, who was the person, the driver that you were focusing on at the most, and what do you take out of this race, Bumpia?
Well, just looking at the positions gained, I think Murphy and Mark Wilson again with a very good race in the 50%. They need to be shouted for driver of the day, but Dragon on speed, so unlucky. He was leading all the way, all weekend. He was the fastest driver on this track, but just on the safety car restart, I think he has got some wing damage, and that cost him dearly, all the way down to P7. So an honorable mention for Dragon as well. Riordan has a very good weekend as well. Quick Killer staying out on the safety car has really helped him, almost getting that win. Only 3/10 behind. What a race indeed. Late safety car as well, seeing a lot of overtakes. It was a really enjoyable race.
Definitely very, very enjoyable indeed. We're gonna see if we can invite our top 3 as well from Riordan, Quick Killer and Nacho. Let's see if they want to join into a podium interview. So stay tuned with us in just a moment. If you have them, if you want to go ahead and add them as well,
I have
to this party, that would be great. At the same time, if we have a look at the calendar, this was a 1 out of 3 races which we have in sprint race. This is all down to our feedback to see how it goes, how it felt like. Italy, of course, one of the trickiest tracks to actually drive 3 times in a row and do full performance every single time. But now jumping back to USA next week, what is your impression from USA?
USA, it's gonna be a pen fest. The first sector is really tough to stay within the track limits, so I think we may see some drivers getting close to the disqualification from penalties.
Definitely penalties and disqualifications will be very, very important to look out for, of course, in qualifying as well. If you only take this one chance, the one try, and that you have to make your lap time count. There are so many terms that you can easily invalidate, but you have to cut some good curbs as well. So I am absolutely thrilled to see if we can get some high times and some great racing as well for next week. But it looks like that we won't have many people joining for the interview. So what we are going to do is we are going to call it a night, unless Nacho wants to join. He hasn't responded just yet, and we're gonna talk about it for next week. But yeah, driver of the day, a very, very good question. Murphy, definitely, absolutely have to say he was just under the light in the shadows and finished in P8, improved by 12 positions. Very, very strong for him. Unfortunately, Leon, another DNF for this race. He was not able to take the 3X's for this start, but we have Nacho as well, who wants to maybe share a few words. If you want to give him a quick invite, that would be great.
I think he has some settings on his account, so I can't add him to the party just yet. Let's see if he makes those adjustments.
We'll see this in just a moment. He's just going into the settings and changing up. Once again, you do experience a lot here with us with CRL from the comms side. Of course, we are just some normal dudes who love racing, who love commentating, and who struggle a lot with technology. Me including. I'm gonna put my hand up first, because I unfortunately was not able to study any terms of computer technology, and even just me not knowing what terms, what studies you do, sees my knowledge as well. But it looks like Nacho is able and has changed everything, so we can send him another invite. Let's hope that he's going to be able to join very, very soon.
There he is. There he is.
Good evening, Nacho. Wow, what a race! What a race! What an interesting event it was here in Italy with a new layout, sprint session. Italy. Was it your first time? What do you think and how do you feel? At the same time, I'm gonna have a look. Make sure that everyone can hear your voice as well. Yeah, share us your thoughts. I do have to apologize and interrupt you there, because your voice is not on stream, unfortunately. If you want to have a quick look into the settings. I'm gonna get these sorted as well straight away. We are about to see if that is going to work. Hopefully everyone will be able to hear Mr. Nacho as well before I get hungry and take a bite myself. Should be over the party settings, if I am not mistaken.
I think it's on the party screen, and then party settings, and there you can select allow your voice to be shared. That needs some changing, just overhauling your whole PlayStation settings.
Yes.
So let's do this one more time. We do have the very new layout from this Italy race. This one was race number 3, CRC 3 for Cone Racing League on season 6, and we have our Nacho as well here with us. Welcome. And what is your impression? How did it feel?
I think the sprint qualifying was actually amazing to do. And once just quality, you really have to be safe, but also fast to not, well, get a good position for the sprint race, but not invalidate your lap. So that was one challenge. And then in sprint qualifying, just trying to get the best result to get into the race, and then, well, the race itself was fun as well, and also cool to see some players who you didn't see in the sprint qualifying. I do see them in the main race. That was fun to see.
I can definitely imagine. It was a very, very eventful race.
Yeah.
The two of us, Bumpy and myself, we had the honor of racing as well already, and I have to say, from my personal experience, that was, however, the time that you spent on the game for this race was less than the full qualifying, but it was very, very challenging and exhausting. You have to fully focus once you're qualifying, then 25% race, which is important for the starting grid of the actual race. I was exhausted. How did you feel like after the one shot and the sprint race? How did you cope everything with your energy?
Well, just having a calm day and just make sure you have enough energy for the whole event, because indeed it was just full concentration all race long, not with full qualifying where you can have a bit of rest between your laps. This was just full on concentration.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very strong performance from your first race. P4 finish there for you. Very well done, Bumpy. If you have another few points as well for Mr. Nacho.
Well, one point I always like to point out is the next race, USA. Do you know what your pace is gonna be like there? Are you feeling confident for it?
USA is not, to be honest. I sometimes have the tend to spin there, so I might have to practice some more like I did for Monza, but we'll see.
Well,
absolutely. Very, very interesting track approaching us next week, and with that we are going to do a little well, not a little, but a big shout out to everyone who is still watching. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure to tune in as well on Thursday when it's once more lights out, and away we go for Tier 1 and Tier 2 in USA already, because we have changed the schedule slightly. But in that terms, I would love to say a big thank you once again for my co-commentator, dear friend Boom here. Thank you so much for joining me once again.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. It was a pleasure once again. Thank you for providing the stream, even with those difficulties.
Absolutely, my apologies. Hopefully we have the proper stream then up and running for next time. We'll do some technical tests, but that is not important, not interesting, and we're gonna say goodbye, good evening, good day, whatever time you're watching it. My name is CRC Steiny, and it is over and out.